Hello, Lakeland Impact Communities. I'm Kate, and this is our third week of our Wanderers or Conquerors series. And this series just keeps getting better and better for me, and I'm sure it's the same for you. These messages have been so applicable to my heart in this season that I'm in. So I am praying that the Lord continues to meet you in the middle of the series, through this series, through these videos, and through your time together with your impact communities. This week, Josh talked about kind of being stuck or stalled out and what that looks like. And he related that to Pharaoh in the book of Exodus. We go through all the plagues, and Josh really calls out the fact that Pharaoh is just stuck. And there have been so many times and seasons in our own lives where we have become more and more stuck in our own way of doing things. And if you're like me, a lot of times the stuckiness that you feel, for me, when I look back on my life, it's been related to fear. I have no idea how to get out of this, and I actually don't know where to turn. And so it's easier just to stay stuck because I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't know, maybe that's you, but Josh talks about that. He talked about saying our faith is anchored to our future, but our fear is anchored to our past. And our faith can be anchored to our future because we know the one who holds the future. That's the only way our faith can move forward. I think we fool ourselves and think that our future is secure because we have so much money in the bank, or we've got this job or that job, or we're going to this place or that city, or, we're in our house is paid off, or at least we can pay the bills, whatever it is. We anchor our faith on so many temporary things. But when we really get down to it, if we actually truly anchor our faith just to Jesus, because he's the only one who's worthy, all of a sudden, all those things that keep us stuck in our fear and in the past seem to fade away, because Jesus conquered it all. He conquered the grave. He conquered death and sin. And so if he's in the future and he holds tomorrow, what do we have to fear? That's what I keep reminding myself of lately. I loved it. Just this series or this sermon this week just so resonated with my heart in being willing to take steps out and take steps of obedience. But it looks scary because we don't really know what's coming or what's ahead for us. A lot of times when we dip our toe in the water, we can at least feel the temperature, but we really don't know further in how deep the water goes. And that can leave us feeling stuck and not wanting to venture any further. But if we know who's out there waiting for us, that is Jesus, we have nothing to be afraid of. Some helpful hints that Josh gave us in this season of how to be unstuck is do not be afraid. That's what Jesus reminded, or Yahweh, the Lord, reminded the nation of Israel about so many times. Do not be afraid. Stand firm. This is Exodus 14:13, and you will see the deliverance of the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. That had to be a wild way to think. This was around 400 years from the time that Joseph and his father and his brothers first came to Egypt to now. So for this nation to look around and say, we won't see the Egyptians, that seems so foreign to them and contrary to how they've always done life. And I'm willing to bet sometime, maybe one of you, God is calling you to do something different that you've never done before, or he's calling you to look at things in a way that you've never have before. Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. That's a promise that we have in him. I love this part that Josh brought up. It's not that you won't face a trial. It just means you don't have to be fearful in that trial. Chances are, if we want to continue to grow and have more faith, we will face trials. And that's okay. The book of James talks about that. Our faith becomes pure and refined throughout our trials. And we want to run from them. They are uncomfortable. We don't want to be in the midst of trials. But man, if we want to be mature and if we want to walk in faith, we've got to be willing to face the trials. It's okay. I think sometimes I look at the trials and think that they say something about me. That they say, maybe I didn't live life the right way. Maybe I made some mistakes along the way, and that's why we're having trials. But that is so far from true. We are just guaranteed trials this side of eternity. And so if we refocus our eyes and our hearts to understand that trials are just a part of life, and sometimes they're a big blessing to help firm up our faith, we won't be afraid of them. And that brings us to our next helpful hint, or that Josh brought up. Be still. Be still. Keep silent. Keep still. Hold your peace. This is hard for me. Probably hard for you. I like being loud. I like taking charge. I like taking command. But so often I run too far ahead of God. And God is calling us to be still. So in this change, in this moment, in these seasons where it feels like you're being called to step out to somewhere you haven't been before, just be still and rely on the Lord. And then Josh also brought up stand firm. Hold your position. And all of these, the last one Josh said was move on. That's in Exodus 14:15. Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. But here's the thing, all of these, stand firm, be still, don't be afraid, move on. They all anchor in Jesus. That is the only way any of these are possible, is because of him. We are not delusional in our being still and our standing firm. It's not based on anything we do. It's only based on Christ. That is how any of this is possible. That's how we can move on. To not be afraid, to stand firm, to be still, to move on. All comes down to Jesus and what he's done for us. And so I just want to encourage you, spend time with him, spend time with Jesus, spend time in his word, and spend time thanking him for where he's brought you. Because your story, as painful and bloodied and bruised as it is a beautiful story of redemption. And that's all our stories. It's all to bring honor to the King, because Jesus is so worthy of it. I love you guys. Praying for your conversations in this season, praying for you in this series, and that you would in fact move on.